Congratulations, you made it through another day. Uncle Russ Gibb jumping up and down here on Russ Gibb at Random on Group W cable. And it's good to know you made it through. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you, my new little puppy dog, Black Al McGinnis McGibb, is keeping me busy these nights. It's like having a new baby in the family. All you do is you're up 3 or 4 times. I never realized those little fellas ate as much and deposited as much as they do. But I called up the kennel guy, and I said, how long will this go on? As long as the dog is eating, it's going to go on. But the little guy is doing well. I thought I'd give you a little progress report there. His master is not doing so well, unfortunately. Got an interesting guest for you today, Mr. Dick Kernan. Dick is a man that I've known in broadcasting for years and years. He is a broadcaster of... how shall I put that? He's a broadcaster who probably teaches more broadcasters than any man I know. He's a teacher, he's an instructor, and he is one of the directors of the Specs Howard School of Broadcasting. So if you've been thinking about becoming a radio star or a television star, I might suggest that you hang in there, because Dick Kernan will be on the show right away. So hang in there. Listen, speaking of the media, I get so furious at the media. I can't, I don't even know what to say about it. Oh, wait a minute. You got the tab. We're halfway through the shoot, and they finally get the tab. See, they've been having me drinking this stuff here. And Diet Pepsi. Pooh. Tab's the only real stuff. That really does it to you. So if I'm a little more peppy, it's because they finally got my tab. I got to tell you the true story on this. We have a Pepsi machine here at the studio. And unfortunately, Pepsi has been on strike, so they've been filling it with tab, which I love, because I'm a tabaholic. But now the Pepsi people are back to work, joy, oh joy, and Gibb doesn't have any tab, so now we have to send out down to the corner market so that I can get burp ready for the show. Well, what are you going to do about that? I don't know. How you got all your Christmas shopping done? Got everything gathered up that you're going to give this year? You don't have anything to give, I see. Well, after you see what they're charging for prices, you won't have anything, period. I see where the Detroit News has had sort of a running game with the media, and they've been putting letters about what people think about media folks in Detroit. And last week, they took a crack at Bill Bonds. Some lady wrote a letter and said that she couldn't stand Bill. And of course, this week, somebody writes in and says that Bill Bonds is the best newscaster in Detroit. Now, for my money, I agree with that. I think Bill is the best newscaster we have in Detroit, television-wise, for the very reason that what you see is what you get, okay, with Bonds. I'm sorry that the guy on Channel 4, I have the feeling... that, very competent newscaster, what's his name, Mortimer Grimm? No, that's not his name. Mort Krim is a very capable newscaster. But the fact is, he still doesn't know the territory. And, that's an important thing in the Detroit market, is to know the territory. And I guess they spent about $100,000 or $150,000 when Morton came in town to convince us that he knows Detroit and Detroiters. And yet I have the sneaking suspicion that the first time that NBC or New York calls, that we'll see Mortimer put on his gypsy hat and take off for greener pastures. And that's the problem that I have with the media. And we're going to be talking with Dick Kernan about that very thing. What is media in Detroit? Is it real? Is it phony? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, we'll get into that. And if you'd like to express your opinion, it's very easy. All you have to do is drop me a card here to Russ Gibb at Random, Group W cable, Mercantile Drive, Dearborn, Michigan. I still don't know that zip code. We did change it correctly. 48121. We got the 1 in there. Good. And drop me a card, and we'll see what's on your mind. Now, we're going to take time out for a few commercials, and then we're going to be back with my guest, Dick Kernan. We're talking about broadcasting, narrowcasting, and the media. I'll be right back.
Actors call it honing the dialogue. Writers call it tampering with the script. Read about the arbitrary rewrites TV stars demand in the new TV Guide. Then take sides as we take on college football rivalries. Find out what fuels the intense competition. Then discover the bottom line on TV's business reporting. Economic news has never been more important, but can TV make it more interesting? Your week's not complete without the new issue of TV Guide.
There's a sound a cat makes when she's really happy and healthy. And there's a way a cat looks when she's really happy and healthy. To keep your cats looking good and sounding good, feed them Calcan. Calcan's got all the vitamins and minerals and protein a cat needs.
It's so nutritious, it's like getting a multivitamin in every can. Now that's the sound of a healthy cat.
Calcan. It's like getting a multivitamin in every can.
Not a typical student, but then again, WeldTech is not a typical school. WeldTech students learn valuable welding skills from top instructors, and they learn from hands-on experience, too. WeldTech even offers job placement assistance for graduates. So get a rewarding career, not just a typical job. Call Chrysler WeldTech today.
Get the facts. Call 540-4040. That's 540-4040. Call 540-4040 now.
I bought this by mail. They said it would grow hair. See any hair?
The ad said this gadget would save gas. It did. Now my car won't start.
They said I could make money stuffing envelopes. I think I got taken.
Most of the time when you shop by mail, you get what you were promised. But if you don't and suspect mail fraud, call your postal inspector or local postmaster. It's our job to fight mail fraud.
We'll give those envelope guys a licking.
Don't take getting taken.
With my guest, Mr. Dick Kernan. Dick is a Dearborn man.
Lifetime resident.
Lifetime resident. Are you related to the Kernan steak? That's spelled differently, though, isn't it?
Spelled differently.
Gee, I wish you were related to the Kernan Steakhouse.
I wish I was related to the
then we go in after the show, have a little free lunch. Dick is a broadcaster, a gentleman who's been in radio how long, Dick?
26 years.
And now television.
Yeah. This is the first time for television, and it's a remarkable experience. This is an incredibly complex medium as opposed to radio, is what I'm used to doing. And you kind of come in and you run your own knobs and do it and leave. And this, we get lighting and 9 people and all this chasing about.
That's what I like to tell the kids when I'm teaching media. I said, when I started out, we had to have one knob, a pot, and a switch for the microphone, and one microphone, and that was it. And a phonograph record.
And it's not, you know, it's not substantially more complicated in radio than that today.
But you get into television and you have all these people roaring around doing everything. Even though I do think, Dick, that television is a little bit overrated, that some of the people in the business like to make out that it is more complex than it really is. You know, you see these guys running around with this holier than thou, that they're big TV folks, and, you know, half the people on TV, aren't they reading it anyway?
Well, that, you know, to me, the thing that amazes me about television is the fact that it is, I am very uncomfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with radio. I'm very comfortable sitting in a studio and doing my little talk show and things like that. And I really admire people who can sit and look at a camera like this and communicate with people that they can't see. I find that to be a unique talent. And what you said about Bill Bonds before, I don't know that everybody can do that. I think that if you've ever seen, there have been a couple of people around town who got into television without a lot of experience. And I think that their failures kind of tended to indicate to me how difficult it was to relate to a camera. I think there's a real skill about doing that. And I really, you know, I guess maybe it's the same admiration I have for somebody that can fix a car or can build a wall or something. I can't do it very well, so I tend to be kind of awed by people who do.
By the way, you mentioned your show. You have a weekly show on WNIC.
WNIC.
WNIC, and that's every Sunday?
Every Sunday, 7
That's
to 9.
a talk show.
Right.
I like talk shows. I did them for years and years and years.
Oh, they're great fun, and they're, you know, 2 hours, you can beat anything to death in 2 hours.
Right.
The
Plus, you could get a talker going, and you can get up and go away for a tab and come back, and the guy's still talking on the phone, and you know what I mean?
It's always fun when you have a guest on, and they're in the middle of a phone conversation, and you get up and walk out, and you see this kind of panicky look on the guest's face. as you walk out the door, and it's kind of fun, but you always get back in time.
How'd you start in broadcasting and radio, Dick?
I started out because my mother was very concerned about whether or not my father was going to let me live at home.
I see, okay.
I was kind of a derelict when I was in, I'm a graduate of Edsel Ford, and in fact the first graduating class from Edsel Ford in 1956. And in 1956 I was just kind of hanging around a lot, not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with my life, and very little motivation to do anything. And my mother saw a little ad in the want ad saying, boy with car, with liability insurance, wanted to work at a radio station.
What station was that?
WXYZ. And so my mother figured, well, the kid isn't real sharp, but he does have a car and it does have liability insurance. And so she left, she said, well, why don't you check this out? And fortunately, I had just gotten out of Navy boot camp and I had a haircut just like yours, and I looked real respectable, which I normally didn't.
Not so sure, you know, you're respectable now with all that hippie hair. You know,
I've always had long hair. My father still yells at me because I have long hair. And I went out and applied for the job, and I looked just great and said all the right things and got the job, and I worked there for 15.5 years.
When did you first started to do it at WXYZ?
I was a mailboy.
You're a mailboy.
Yep.
That's the way. That's the classic way of getting into broadcasting. I got in at WKMH by carrying records for Robin Seymour.
Right.
That's the way you get in. You have to start down there.
You have to start someplace.
And move in. What changes have you noticed in the broadcast field today?
Well, I don't think in 26 years I have ever seen as much happening in broadcasting as is happening right now. Cable TV certainly is a part of broadcasting. Radio, the development of FM in 1967.
Incredible.
I had to do a presentation to a bunch of people from ABC, and I allowed as how I thought that FM had a real chance at gaining at least half of the audience, and everybody said, that was a really nice presentation, Dick. Unfortunately, the premise was stupid.
Yeah.
Because FM radio is simply not destined to succeed. But FM has doubled the number of, over doubled the number of radio stations in this country, and that's going on. Satellite. The satellites have been absolutely the most incredible thing that ever happened to broadcasting. All things, you're not stuck with 3 networks anymore.
That's right. Everybody has their own satellite service now, and you can become an instant disc jockey in radio all over the place.
Yeah.
Interesting that you would mention FM. That's where I got my real start. The government had mandated, because everybody was simulcasting. They all had an AM. Everybody that owned an AM also owned an FM. And they had the same call letters.
Right.
And at that point, the government, to make more work for people, said you have to broadcast at least, I think it started out 30% of the day.
50% in a major market.
In the major market, that's right, 50% in the major market of local programming.
Different programming.
Different programming
Right.
from
You
your AM.
couldn't simulcast half of the day.
And the stations were going crazy because this was
sure.
an extra cost, and they didn't know what to do with it.
And no one knew what FM was. When I used to, in 1967, people said, what do you do? And I said, I run an FM station. And they said, oh, FM, is that one of those with the Montavanis and stuff like that? You know, 'cause they didn't. And FM was just a kind of a nothing thing. You know, it's an interesting point. We tend to look down upon government regulation, and we tend to complain about it a lot, but really the FM band would not exist as it does today without that rule. If they
Well,
hadn't made
not
that
only
rule.
that, but then they made it mandatory that all radios, wasn't it? Didn't it have to have a switch?
There has never been all-channel legislation.
Oh, that's in television.
That's right. They did that with UHF TV. Broadcasters, FM broadcasters, lobbied for all-channel, but I suppose we should tell you what all-channel is. That means that the government would say every radio has to have an FM as well as an AM band. They never did that, and FM developed despite that.
You know, we have a clip from your new media show. What's the title of it?
Detroit Media Monthly.
The Detroit Media Monthly, and Dick has been producing this show and is starring in the show, if you can star in
I don't think it's a matter of starring. Can we talk about that just a little bit so that people have some understanding of what we're trying to do? At the school, we have a television studio.
This is Specs Howard.
Right. At the Specs Howard School, we have a set kind of like this, not quite this grandiose, but functional. And we wanted to do a television show, and we were trying to figure out what to do. And we figured that, you know, I know most of the people in radio, And Jim McFarland from the Detroit News knows an awful lot of people in radio that I don't know. And Paul Winter, who is an old friend of mine, knows a lot of people that I don't know. So the three of us kind of decided to do the show. And we do it once a month. And between the three of us, we access some pretty interesting Detroit media people. And we thought it might be fun for people to be able to see someone like this clip coming up, Carmen Harlan. I mean, everybody sees Carmen at 11 o'clock every night with Mort Krim.
Right.
And people get a certain perception about people. You know, you were talking about Bill Bonds versus Mort Krim, et cetera, et cetera. And we thought that it'd be really interesting to talk to people out of context. And, you know, with Carmen is a really good example. Carmen is exactly what she appears to be. She is one of the nicest, warmest people I have ever known. I've known her for about 6 years. She used to be the producer of my talk show when I was at W4. That tells you a fast story, right? Carmen's now making umpteen zillion dollars a year doing television, and I'm still doing it 2 hours on Sunday morning.
But see, your hair isn't beautiful.
Carmen does have it on me in a couple of areas, physical beauty being one of the most obvious.
Well, listen, could we see a clip of that? Let's run a clip, and then I want to come back and talk a little bit about the show and some other media things.
Okay, let me just introduce the clip. The clip starts with my asking a question of Carmen about her relationship with Mort.
This is just part of your new show. It's playing here on Group W Cable, too.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, let's take a look at that now. We ready? Where are we?
I guess one of the things that would be a problem in your line of work is that there is such intense competition in your, particularly in the 6 and 11 o'clock news. And it never seems that way when I watch you and Mort. I mean, it always just seems like you've done this for a million years together, and that it's just not a big deal. You must feel relatively secure.
I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I think it's a tribute to the management of DIV that everyone can do that.
Sure, and the audience is I mean, we have to give them a lot more credit than sometimes we're willing to do, and they can sense when there's some rivalry or competitiveness that shouldn't really be there. And you think that a picture tube is only going to reveal so much, but it reveals a lot more than that.
Oh, I think so.
You can really get a sense of whether or not the person is sincere, or whether or not they are interested in what they're doing, or whether they believe what they're saying, and that's something that you're very conscious of, I think. It's just so happened that I think the chemistry is right.
Oh, the chemistry is absolutely right. I think that there's no one in town who will deny that. Before we wrap this up, you are expecting in April.
Does it show?
Right. No, it doesn't, as a matter of fact. It doesn't show at all. No, I think you've been kidding us.
Well, no, in April.
What happens then?
I don't know. I guess I'll just have to have it. And
I don't think there's any way out, Carmen.
That's what my mother don't know. In April, I will hopefully, produce a boy or girl.
But you're not thinking of
retiring?
Retiring or going home? And
I enjoy what I do, and this is my hometown. And as long as I'm able to work in Detroit, I will.
That's great. Well, I hope it's a real long time, and thank you so much for being here today. I really, it's just adorable seeing you.
Good seeing you.
We'll be right back.
Okay, Detroit Monthly Media.
No.
I got it wrong?
Detroit Media Monthly.
Oh, okay.
Don't feel bad. I get it wrong all the time, too.
Interesting. I love the comment while that was on that Carlin had, because I like her on the tube. I don't particularly like the other guy. He doesn't do anything for me. And then you mentioned...
Call him the other guy.
Yeah, well, I read that in the paper the other day. That's how Lucille McCullough does it, to call him the other guy.
I see, the other guy.
But the fact is that you told me something that I didn't know about her, but I think I sensed. She's a native Detroiter.
Yeah.
And that, I think, makes the difference. Those eyes are tempered through my eyes, and consequently we have certain things that are unique to Detroit, and I really get uptight about the media gypsies. Do you know what I mean by media gypsy?
Sure. I call them hired guns. Anybody that's got another $30,000, $40,000 to pay, they go there.
They just jump around and move on, and they really don't care about the town. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Well, I don't know that that's, I don't get that sense about Mort. I find Mort and I don't know him at all. I've never even met him. But the people that I know who do know him, he has, I think, made a real genuine effort to be a part of this town.
Yes.
And he's having a lot more success with me than he is with you. I really like him. I think that he. And
I think
Carmen
they've improved WDIV incredibly. I mean, their technology and their sets and everything. I think it's very professional. But they still don't seem like real Detroiters.
Sure, you love Bonds because you remember when Bonds used to be a news reporter for Keener, running around.
That's right. He used to do my news with me when I was doing talk.
Sure.
And what's that? Count Scary.
Tommy Ryan.
Tommy Ryan used to answer the phone for me on my talk show. Of course, I heard one about you. The young lady that was just on the tube, Harlan, used to be your producer.
6 years ago, almost 7 years ago, when I started doing a Sunday morning talk show on W4, Carmen was the news director, and my budget, it was a very large budget show. I think we had $30 a week or some grand, something like that, and so there was no way I was going to get a producer, so I told the station, I said, look, I haven't got time to call 48 people, and they said, no problem, we'll have Carmen do it, and she had just walked in the door, and we talked about it in that interview. Carmen is a very straight lady. I mean, Carmen comes out of a very straight, traditional, conservative kind of an environment.
Background.
And she walked into W4, and at the time, W4 was just full of raving, long-haired lunatics.
Rock and rollers.
And I just always admired the way she handled that. I think she managed to become a member of that staff, and by the time that she left and went to Channel 4, everybody loved her, and she's just one of the nicest people that I know in this business.
How many stations now or cable systems is your show being shown on?
I believe we are on, oh boy, let's see, there's Dearborn, Southfield, St. Clair Shores, Birmingham. We just got a call from the other Group W franchise in Grosse Pointe, United. If we can manage to jury-rig our audio, the people at Wayne Cablevision down in Taylor are going to be running it pretty much in most of the franchises.
Covering the area.
No one has told us to get lost yet.
No, it's an interesting show. And there's a lot of interest in media because media is the way that we get our perception of the world today. And many of us are concerned about the perception that the world has because of it's filtered through your eyes, through my eyes, through Channel 4's eyes, 7, 2.
Sure.
And people are aware of this now. I think the viewers are becoming very sophisticated as to what the world is really like and what the world is that the TV camera produces. Like 60 Minutes in 2020, to me, are terrible journalism. I mean, excellent TV, lousy ethics.
What do you like?
Well, I rather like the cartoons on Saturday morning. I think they're
with
sort of...
all of the technology and all of this production, that's the best? You're telling me that's the best? We'll have to come. I'm coming back.
I like radio vision. I like radio vision. I like the idea, Bob, that...
No, I'm Dick. Bob's the guy.
Oh, yeah, well, you better tell someone. Your son is in my class. I think we ought to let everybody know on that. And he works on this show.
Right.
And he's a very talented young fellow. That's Bob Kernan. This is Dick, the father.
I'm the bald one.
The bald. By the way, your son does need a haircut. Anyway, what we were talking about is that I do perceive that radio vision, I don't like the pretension of television. I think there's an awful lot of stuffiness. We are the media, we are this, and we bring you this, and here is the news. I'm so glad for cable, particularly the 24 hours news.
Someday we'll have to do this show, and we will debate media, and you can say all of those bad things about Mort Krim and 2020 and 60 Minutes, and I'll defend it.
You'll defend it?
I love media. I think this country gets out of media just about what it demands, and I think that by and large they get, in many cases, more than they ask for.
I think we have all kind of media, and I like media too, but I don't think they have the understanding of the word responsibility, and I'll take you up on that. You can come back and we can talk about that. If we have all the guests that I've invited back, we'll just be having the same people over and over, and become a series. Dick Kernan, thank you for taking time.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And I want to thank you for allowing your son to be one of my students. He's a super kid.
Yeah, when I come back, I'll also tell you how I feel about your influence over him, which I think has been terrific, and I am eternally indebted for that.
He's a bright kid. He's an all-A kid. What are you kidding? Hey, Russ Gibb, at random. We'll be right back.
Congratulations, John. Nice move.
My engagement?
That and getting Mrs. Barrett to cater your party.
Mrs. Barrett! Great chicken salad. Mine never tastes this good.
Well, I use only Hellman's Real Mayonnaise.
There's a difference?
I think so. No other mayonnaise tastes fresher or creamier than Hellman's. So I trust it to make all my specialties taste their very best.
I'll say.
Hellman's can make a difference.
Hellman's helps make whatever you make the best.
Smells like someone's baking bread.
Oh, it's coming, yeah, yeah. There's a new loaf coming, yeah, yeah. And it's gonna rise, rise, rise in your oven.
Yeah, yeah.
It's new from Pillsbury, and it's called Pipe and Hot Brand. Fresh on your table. Pipe and hot loaf, melting that butter. Pipe and hot loaf from Pill.
New pipe and hot loaf in the dairy case.
Pillsbury.
Eleanor Bailey, if she thought her denture cleanser could clean away cherry stain.
I would imagine so.
What about a stain of cherry and tea?
I don't think so.
Or a triple stain of cherry, tea, and tobacco?
I would be very skeptical.
Then watch Extra Strength Efferdent attack a triple stain of cherry, tea, and even tough tobacco with Efferdent's powerful Blue Action formula.
Efferdent cleaned the triple stain in between. I'm going home and use Efferdent.
Extra Strength Efferdent removes even stubborn stains between teeth.
Something's got the whole neighborhood wagging their tails with excitement.
Dem bones, dem bones, dem. Butcher bones, dem bones, dem bones, dem. Butcher bones, dem bones, dem bones, dem. Butcher bones, the meatiness snack for dogs.
Milk-Bone Butcher Bones is the first snack made with real meat chips. 3 different meat bone shapes in every box. New Milk-Bone Butcher Bones with real meat. It's got the whole neighborhood wagging their tails with excitement.
Dick Kernan. And you can watch Dick's show here several times a month. What did he call it? Detroit Monthly Media? Or was it Media Monthly? Yeah. Titles. Well, it's a good show, and you'll see it here on Group W. Russ Gibb jumping up and down, and you know, if you'd like to drop a card or a letter and you want to let me know what's on your mind, or if you have an idea for a guest, or if you want to even say, hey, Gibb, you don't know what you're talking about. The best newscaster in Detroit is Mortimer Grimm, or Mort Krim, or whatever the heck his name is. That's fine. All you have to do is drop a card to Russ Gibb at random, Group W Cable, Mercantile Drive, Dearborn, Michigan, and then, you know, we'll have that. So, do it. Just don't sit there and get mad. Do it, will you? Right. That's what it's all about. By the way, Cleo will be coming back, so if you want to drop a card to Cleo, just do it in care of us, and put your name, your age, your birth date, and your place of birth, and we'll be doing that on the air, and she'll be casting some charts. She was on last week. Pretty interesting lady. Hey, for those of you that took the time to view the show today, I want to say thank you. For those of you that took time to drop me a card and letter, I want to say thank you. But most of all, I'd like to thank you for just being you. Russ Gibb, at random.